Here's the bridegroom. Hey everyone, today we got this guy.
It's me. He's talking about me. This guy, this face, right here. This is who he's after.
No, not you, just your claims.
So I made a short video where I pointed out a replica of a chariot wheel from the 18th dynasty. Looks nothing like what Ron Wyatt reported he found at the bottom of the Red Sea. And this guy decided to respond, so let's see what he's got.
Let's take a look at this.
Man, what a good looking guy.
Ron's got a whole story about this on his website, which is WyattMuseum.com, explaining the whole thing. There's only one Egyptian dynasty that used 4-spoke, 6-spoke, and 8-spoke, all three types used in this one dynasty. And all three are found down there, or something like that.
So citing known convicted felon of tax fraud Kent Hovind to support the questionable claims of Ron Wyatt is a lot like citing Hollywood stars on the good, decent moral reputation of Harvey Weinstein.
Fallacy alert.
And this, my friends, is what you call an ad hominem. Did I say that right?
Ad hominem.
Anyways, this is labeled by the Texas State University's Department of Philosophy as a fallacy. Now, I also do know about Kent Hovind's conviction, but this doesn't take away from the fact that he has probably led more people to the Lord than me and this guy put together. And if this is the kind of thing we're going to start doing, might as well start saying things like this.
I need to tell you that you're just a little ugly.
Kent Hovind is not a credible source, and he's just parroting the same nonsense that Ron Wyatt reported.
And at the beginning of the video that I used for the clip, Kent Hovind admits this, although me and Kent Hovind wouldn't call it nonsense.
There is no evidence he found chariot wheels at the bottom of the Gulf of Aqaba.
Then this guy needs to tell us how the chariot wheels, horse remains, and human remains got there. And I want to state right here that I'm not 100% convinced that what he found is evidence of the Red Sea crossing. But there is something there, and I'm not ready to throw it out like this guy.
If you'll take a look at this paper from this historian talking about 4-spoke wheels and 6-spoke wheels being used in the 18th century.
I think you meant to say the 18th dynasty.
I did. Thanks for pointing that out.
And this paper is from Egyptologist James Hoffmeyer. I'd highly recommend you read this book of his, where he spends some time debunking the claims of Ron Wyatt. But in this short paper, Hoffmeyer is actually pointing out that the 4-spoke chariot wheel actually fell out of favor among the Egyptians at this point, because it didn't perform as well on the battlefield as the 6-spoke chariot wheel. Now, it was still in limited use around this time, but it's unlikely the Pharaoh would have used low-quality chariot wheels to chase down the Israelites.
Now, I admit that I have not read the book, and if you look here at Amazon, its description of the book states that it was a defense of the traditional path of the Exodus. But I find it very highly unlikely that the Wyatt Museum's website would quote and reference a man who they felt debunked their claims.
But the amount of spokes wasn't even my point when I noted the fake chariot wheel of Ron Wyatt looks nothing like what an actual chariot wheel would have looked like. We can see a comparison here. Notice the Egyptian chariot wheel has a long and narrow central hub. This was necessary to help keep the chariot stable as it went over rough terrain. Ron Wyatt's wheel would not have kept any chariot stable. Notice also on the Egyptian chariot, the spokes are thin pieces of wood inserted into bronze sockets. This is going to help with speed. They're also in line with the rim, which is also going to help with speed and stability. But on Wyatt's wheel, the spokes are thick pieces of metal, which will cause the chariot to slow down, and the weight will make it more likely to get stuck in rough terrain. And worst of all, Wyatt's wheel has gold foil on the rim. There's no way that would have survived a trip across the Sinai Peninsula.
The point being is that your precious little 6-spoke wheel is there. Take a look at this footage found by Q-Star, a documentary company who makes documentaries for TV and film.
In the spring of 2000, a robotic camera was lowered into these waters for the first time.
The chariot wheel with 6 spokes was the most widely used by the Egyptians. Egyptian chariots were known to use metal hubs in the center of the wheels. Using metal detectors, divers have found metal in the raised hubs that are now covered in coral. Here we see another four-spoked chariot wheel with one spoke missing and a center raised hub. The coral here has preserved the chariot parts by retaining the man-made structure, even after the wood has disappeared. Here we see another wheel suspended on its axle, standing at attention. It has 6 spokes and a raised center hub.
And let's don't forget that even you said
The four-spoke chariot wheel actually fell out of favor among the Egyptians at this point, because it didn't perform as well on the battlefield as the six-spoke chariot wheel. Now, it was still in limited use around this time.
And the claim is, and always has been, that all of them, all the wheels, are there.
There is a reason Egyptologists do not take the claims of Ron Wyatt seriously, and we Christians need to start doing the same. Even marine biologist Robert Carter, who is a creationist, has pointed out there is no reason to think chariot wheels would have survived at the bottom of the Red Sea for over 3,000 years.
Fallacy alert. And this is what we call the fallacy of the appeal to authority. You see, he presents authority figures as his evidence without actually presenting any evidence for me to refute. This is a fallacy. Because I can give you plenty of experts that say contrary.
And finally, let's be clear. The Exodus didn't happen in the 18th dynasty. It happened in the 19th dynasty under Ramesses II.
And let's be clear. This guy is the one who originally brought up the 18th dynasty.
So I made a short video where I pointed out a replica of a chariot wheel from the 18th dynasty.
Now, seeing how there are people who advocate for the 18th dynasty and make a very good argument, if you ask me, I assumed you were one of them since he brought it up. Now, as always, remember, I love you, and here's the bridegroom. Here's the bridegroom. Come on out to meet him. Come on out to meet him.